Hello, internet friends, and welcome back to the Dailey Blend show. Happy to have you back in the first episode of 2024. We took a couple weeks off to regroup, recharge, re-energize, and I have to say, I feel like it was time well spent. Really thinking through kind of personal, professional goals, what I want to achieve this year, what I want Dailey Blend to become in the 2024s and beyond. But before we jump into all of that, I want to remind you that we are available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. You can also check out the show over on YouTube. And of course, by heading to the redesigned daileyblend.com. With all that out of the way, let's jump into the weekly rundown. So, the objective really of the weekly rundown is to talk through kind of things that are going on across Dailey Blend, as well as what's going on with some of my special projects, RD Music, RD Project, what I'm doing with Drink with Greg, Negronis with Greg, etc., etc. So what I want to do is sort of talk about some things coming across from Dailey Blend first, and then talk about some like kind of more personal hobbies, things that I'm going after or kind of trying to tackle this year, and then talk about what is ahead for the year to come. From a music standpoint, I always record, or basically every year for the last, 6-7 years, I've basically started the year off with a private playlist in SoundCloud, and I just call it DJ Sets, year X. And so last year was no different. I had, 50 or 60 DJ sets that I just jammed through all of 2023. So I'm going to release those and make that playlist public. And that's through my personal SoundCloud. So you can go check me out on soundcloud.com/Reed Dailey. But I'll make sure that I put it in the show links for if you go over to daileyblend.com, you can find it and it'll be embedded so you can actually stream the music. These are just DJ sets that from everything from getting ready for date night to, early morning jazz to, I need to get stuff done and need high energy. It's from Burning Man to bedroom DJs, like, everyone from, world famous DJs to some random person that SoundCloud, put in my algorithm. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I would say the biggest sort of theme for me musically of sets that I was really jamming to, certainly in that last couple months of 2023, was a lot more jazz infused music. I think that has to do with sort of early AM working sessions between the hours of, let's say, like 5 and 8. Just didn't want house music blaring, but needed something with a little bit of a kick and kind of wake me up, almost like the difference between an afternoon espresso versus, a morning blend coffee. So that will be sort of the music feature. In terms of, DJ sets, I know I've been promising to actually get done with Dailey Blend episode 150, and I've got 3 sets already done. I just need to listen to them and make sure I really like them. I put them out, or I made them, but I haven't really listened to them. And it's -5 degrees here, so I haven't had as much time to just kind of walk around town and listen to them. But they've been on my to-do list, I think, for like 6 months. But I think by the end of January, I will be done with episode 150, and I don't know why I'm having such a mental block of getting those out. But as soon as those are done, we'll start rolling into monthly Sunday sessions, monthly Dailey Blend episodes, so you get about 2 DJ sets a month, and then some special project stuff with my Reed Dailey music project that I released last year. In terms of goals for the year, I guess, before I jump into the goals, I want to talk about one other thing, which is an app I'm really digging lately, which is this new app called Poply. and I think I'm saying that right. I actually learned about this app through, I'm going to describe him correctly. He is a broker for, I'll call it loan sharking, but it's for loans for people who don't meet banking thresholds in high opportunity areas. I was laughing because I had wrapped up a work event. I was with a COI of mine, and we were just having a drink, kind of chilling out after just a whirlwind day. And I see this guy at the bar next to us with 4 cell phones, eating surf and turf and a chocolate, I think, martini. And I just had never seen, first of all, that many cell phones, usually 2. Work and personal, but 4. And then just the combination of surf and turf and the chocolate martini of a grown man just seemed odd. So I had to chime in and ask him. And he had this whole call campaign. He had multiple dialing in India, Asia, and I think Costa Rica. And he had this whole business. And it was really cool to hear someone just going about it in a very different way and different lens. And kudos to this guy. And when he when we were wrapping up a conversation, he was like, yo, let me get your contact. And he showed, he pulls out a QR code and it downloaded his I scanned it and it downloaded his information to a V card to my phone. And I've been looking for this solution for forever. And it's a freemium solution. So there's opportunities for free. There's opportunities for paid. You can connect with it to Zapier and do a bunch of different workflows. So I was really fired up that I met the guy. It was a great story. And then I was like, okay, this app is really good when I sat down and checked it out the next day at my office. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And it's just an app that I'm liking and using a lot. The other app or piece of technology that I'm exploring is DJ Studio. So this is a DJ app that I actually learned about through Laidback Luke's YouTube channel. And it essentially helps you take playlists and organize them into DJ sets. So it's what I've been looking for, I don't know, 10 years. To put together a whole mix takes, start to finish 2.5 hours, in my opinion, right? By the time you search for the music, kind of find stuff that meets thematically, that you like, that has sort of the same key, and then mixing it and fixing it. It's just a long process. And this solution uses AI, machine learning, and helps find songs that are within the same key, within the same sort of strike zone. And you can do different parameters in terms of, do I want a 4-bar? Do I want a 8-bar, 16-bar, 32-bar mix in? Do I want to do it where it's high, lows mixing in, bass, etc. So I've only started to scratch the surface. And full disclosure, I am planning on writing a review for this. The review will come up on Dailey Blend, and then we'll do a couple YouTube videos on it. I'm a little behind on it. I just ended up getting sick over the break, not once, but twice, which was a little unfortunate. But I should have that review out by the end of the month. And I've done it for a couple of my DJ sets that I haven't released, but I'm just okay, this sounds pretty great. And what's really cool is you can take the project and go from Studio DJ, the app, into, DJ Studio, not Studio DJ, into Ableton, and then kind of tweak it, similar with some record box features that I haven't really dove into, but there is integration. And I think this is going to unlock a lot of creativity for DJs and for enthusiasts. I also think if you're a pro DJ and you're spending a couple hours a week on making radio shows for different radio stations and podcasts, it sucks up a lot of time and energy, and this will help you kind of just get your ideas out faster so you can get back to getting ready for your gigs, making new music, etc. So there's a lot of use cases and reasons to get into this. And then in terms of going from sort of digital to analog, one of the things that I want to do is read more, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the book that I'm kicking off this year with is called Obsessed. I got introduced to it from a friend of mine who worked with the author. The author of the book is the founder of Red Antler, and it's the branding agency that was behind brands like Casper and other consumer brands that I'm just blanking on right now. But it's a nice little, I don't want to call it tableside book. It's a pretty easy read. I'm about a third of the way through. My only challenge with the book is I can't read it at night because I just get pretty fired up about, doing cool projects. So that's the only downside with these type of books for me. I want to read them at night and then my brain starts working. So it's taking a little longer, but it's been an interesting read, and I highly recommend checking out this book from what I've read thus far. All right, so let's jump into some of the goals. So I'll first preface with the fact that, I wrote down on my to-do list for 2 weeks, write goals. And I went to a bunch of websites, talked to a lot of friends about how they're doing goal setting. And so I still don't think I've got a good enough framework to think about how to write bigger goals. And I think my biggest goal, and the only one that I'm really fired up is to essentially just think bigger, bigger ideas, more grandiose, harder things to achieve. And the other thing that I'm kind of proud about is, in order to achieve those goals, you have to sort of take things off the table. And that's something that I've been a little reluctant to do in years past. So I'm in prime example of that. I wanted to, I've been trying to get back down to a certain weight, 200 pounds for, 10 years. And it's a combination of, laziness is really the core. And so one of the easiest things I did is say, all right, let's just do dry January and see how that feels. And I don't know, I'm about 2 weeks in and it feels great. Sleeping better, more focus, less groggy. It's not like my world is, changed completely, but definitely feels better. I already see thinning in the face as a result of a few calories, down. And I think, the next thing for me is just eating a little better, a little more greens, a little more salads. But, there's a couple basic things that I want to do, and it's probably not big grandiose goals, but things that I want to tackle. So this year, after seeing this quote of people overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do in a year, and that really resonated with me. So then trying to not tackle something every day, I said every week I want to try to cook one new meal. So getting a recipe book, and I've gotten a few from Rachel Ray to Matt Horanik's new book, A Man and His Kitchen, to harder stuff like Anthony Bourdain's, to, funny enough, I read the Nick Lachey's wife, I can't even think of her name, her cookbook. It was 5 ingredient recipes. So just keeping it simple, but trying a new recipe of something that I don't typically cook once a week is a goal. The next thing is, in a similar fashion, doing one new cocktail a week. So, I drink a lot of the same sort of beverage, and so, okay, can I learn new techniques from mixing and ingredients? And it's really about learning new how ingredients go together. And then I want to try to do one new book a week. I think that one's going to be a little harder to do, but I'm literally a block and a half, 2 blocks away from a public library that is absolutely fantastic. I cleaned out my office, and I have probably about 30 business books sitting in my my brand new bookshelf. So I've got a ton of material to get through. And so, I just need to carve out time, and I've sort of started to look through my schedule. And then from a bigger perspective on what we're going to do with Dailey Blend, I looked at all the things that I was doing and where I was spending time, and thanks to a friend of mine, he kind of said, why don't you try doing a little mind mapping? So I did mind mapping of all the activities, and, I looked at like how much time allocation I was spending on these things. And there was a bunch of stuff actually for even Dailey Blend where I was like, okay, this is not helping me be more creative. This is not helping me achieve the objective that I set out for last year, which is really to connect with people. And from a data standpoint, it wasn't helping me from an SEO standpoint. So I said, okay, I'm going to pull back on some of the things that I was publishing just because they ended up taking up like little, 20-minute, 30-minute thing, time frames here. And when you add that up over the aggregate, it's a lot of time. So you'll probably see a lot more weekly rundowns, Friday Top Fives. I really like doing those. I'm finding a lot of value in those. The Friday Top Fives are going to be very thematic in terms of either like the whole week or just you'll see like for like a 1 month, there'll be, you'll see ties of things hopefully. And then the other thing is I really want to spend more time getting to know people within Chicago land area and showcasing kind of their stories as well as connecting with people on the web and continuing to do that. I just get a lot of enjoyment out of meeting new people and getting connected. So, I don't have an answer to like what are my bigger goals, but I'm still working through those. My hope is that by the end of the month, I'll have those mapped out. And I will say just writing things down, kind of brainstorming ideas and goals has been tremendously helpful for me as I'm looking forward to the year ahead. In terms of what's going on with projects outside of Dailey Blend, so with Drink with Greg, we did light launch the web store, and we're working through a couple, I wouldn't call them kinks, but we're working through a couple like technical, functional updates. But we've shipped our first orders. They're actually in the air as we speak, so I'm pretty fired up about that. In terms of growth on that side, we did, I think, over 500 posts last year. The SEO was fantastic. Hit rates on the website are great. People are giving us a lot of great feedback. We launched a Pinterest site. Obviously, Instagram is doing great. Greg and I are really fired up about just kind of the look and feel of the website and kind of where we're heading from a social standpoint. So be on the lookout for continued growth with that project. And then the other thing that I worked on last year that I didn't really talk about on this show as much was an organization that I started with two guys down in the South called Lewis Manning. And it's really aimed at meeting with executives and board members, and as they're trying to expand their knowledge of, getting onto boards and, being a great board steward, as well as kind of continuing to network in the sort of second half or third quarter, fourth quarter, however you want to describe it, of their careers. And it's we do it in a roundtable discussion. We call it the Executive Briefing Series, where it's a 30-minute prep with the folks that are going to present, and then when we actually host the event, we have somewhere between 20 and 30 people attend, and it's a guided roundtable discussion. I really enjoyed these. It's a tremendous amount of effort to plan them, to execute them, but it's been immensely rewarding, and I'm looking forward to continuing to grow that nonprofit group. It's been really nice to see the organic connections that folks that have joined those calls have made, and we've helped make a ton of introductions, and I think 2024 is going to be way bigger than 2023 was, and 2023 sort of eclipsed my expectations by a long shot. So be on the lookout for those posts for me on X and LinkedIn on those. And then I'd say the last thing, this show is all about entrepreneurs, founders, people moving the needle and new business ideas and kind of having to life hack. And that's where I want this show to continue to evolve to. If you're more interested in sort of the tech and business lens, go to LinkedIn, and you can find the Digital Deep Dive Show, which is my tech podcast that will release every week in 2024. And I really talk very specifically about business and tech, how tech is enabling business, whereas this is much more on the kind of consumer lifestyle, like I said. This week, we've got the Friday Top 5 coming out. As a reminder, that is now a newsletter, so that's a gated asset. So head over to daileyblend.com/newsletter to sign up, and you can get that in your inbox every Friday. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. I would say if you are like me and you're doing the Dry January, don't forget to check out Drink with Greg. We've got a couple features on some Dry January cocktails and drinks. I am really enjoying Recess and a couple of the non-alcoholic beers, although I don't drink that much beer. Just looking for anything besides seltzer water. That just seems to be boring me to death this time of year. And, I am looking for new YouTube channels to follow. I'm really double clicking into YouTube this year, spending less time on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I have no interest. And so if you have anyone that's doing cool or interesting things, or you follow someone on YouTube that's doing more like training things, like how to make food, how to make cocktails, how to be better at traveling, how to life hack, those sort of like how-to people, send them my way. I always enjoy those, and I always end up subscribing and getting a lot of takeaways from those. So please send them to me. I would very much appreciate that. And with that said, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check us out over on YouTube. And don't forget to like us on X and Instagram at Dailey Blend. And of course, you can find us on daileyblend.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week on the weekly rundown. And don't forget to check out the Friday Top 5.